Hi, this video tutorial is on a few special cases of parameter control with the expression pedal. If you watched the first expression pedal video tutorial called Getting Started with an Expression Pedal, you'll learn the basics of controlling parameters with the expression pedal, and it's quite simple. Basically, you can set something in the heel. You can see right now the delay time goes from 0.5 to a second in heel and toe, and to actually say set the repeats, I could set the repeats to 0 in the heel just because it's in the heel position now, move it to the toe position and set it to halfway, and then when I move my expression pedal it will morph the repeats from 0 to about halfway as I change the expression pedal position. So that's how most of the parameters work, but there are a few special cases. The first one is the modulation knob. Now this knob's different than most of the other knobs on here because there's three distinct regions to this knob. They're called slow, medium, and fast, and through each one of those regions the line gets thicker. So what that actually means is the slow, medium, fast is the speed of the modulation, so there's three discrete speeds that it can have, and then as the line gets thicker, that's the depth or the amount of the modulation that's being applied. So with the knob you actually can only set it to three different speeds, but you have continuous control over the amount. Now, if you were to control it the same way with the expression pedal, it wouldn't produce a very musical sound. Keep in mind that an expression pedal is meant to be used during a musical performance, so all the parameter changes should sound musical. So for instance, if you wanted to have, say, a medium amount of modulation with slow speed in the heel, and you wanted to have full-on modulation with a fast speed in the toe, you would just set it like that, but then when you change the expression pedal, the speed would go through these discontinuities as you moved through the different speeds, and that's not very musical and probably not something that you want during a performance. So what the TimeBender pedal does instead is it smoothly changes the speed from the slow to the fast through that expression pedal change. So the amount of modulation and the speed of the modulation are handled independently with the expression pedal, and you get a nice smooth change. This is kind of nice because you can actually now have a lot more control over the actual speed of the modulation when you use an expression pedal. So that's the first example of a change between how the knob controls the parameter and how the expression pedal controls the parameter. The second example is the mix knob. Now for the last three modes, which are envelope, reverse, and looper, the expression pedal controls the mix in exactly the same way as the knob does. However, for the other 8 modes before that, the dry signal that you hear actually goes through an analog path in the TimeBender. So it's in order to keep the quality as pristine and the latency as low as possible. However, there are times in those modes where you don't want to hear the dry. So what the TimeBender does in those cases, as the mix knob goes past the point on the knob where it says dry off, the dry is actually muted in analog land. So you can see as I turn it, it says D off. Now the dry path is off, and when I turn it back, it says D on, so now the dry is back on again. Now it's a very useful feature, but in a live performance, you probably wouldn't want the dry to go off instantaneously like that because it's not a nice smooth decay. It's pretty much an instant off for the dry. So instead of doing that with the expression pedal, what the TimeBender does is it's only the knob that can control the dry off. So if I turn the knob and it says dry off, the expression pedal will never change that state. So let's just go through an example of how we could set something up with the expression pedal. So let's say we wanted the mix to be low in the heel, or actually say around quarter in the heel, and then in the toe we wanted it to be pretty much full. And what we do is we go up to just the point before the dry goes off. So we get pretty much a full, the loudest wet level that we can get. Now the expression pedal controls the wet level just as we would expect. However, now let's look at the situation where we turn the mix knob a little bit further. Now it says dry off. So the wet level is still at its maximum, but the dry is off. So now When I move the expression pedal back down and up again, the dry doesn't come back on again, because remember, the dry mute is only controlled by the knob. So now I'm just controlling the wet level with the expression pedal, and that's a very handy feature for a lot of these effects, where you can just control the level of that wet without the dry on at all. Okay, so that is another special case of how the expression pedal controls a parameter differently than the knob. So that's it for special cases. Thanks for watching.